Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, today we are going to answer the age-old question, am I smarter than a squirrel? As you know, I have squirrels in my yard, and I like having the squirrels in my yard. You know, it's fun to have a little wildlife checking in from time to time, and it's fun to watch them do their thing. So in order to attract them here, I generally put food out for them. I've got this little corn cob thing here on on one of the trees, and I have another feeder on the back wall back there. So, you know, it's not, the issue isn't that I don't want the squirrels here. I just want them eating just what I provide for them. Now, I also have birds that come into the yard, a lot of really beautiful birds here in Texas, and I want to feed them too. The problem is, how do you keep the bird food away from the squirrels? Now, the previous owners of this house left this little suet feeder here, and I've been trying to keep this filled, but for some reason the birds don't like the stuff I've been feeding them, and so it's just kind of gone to rot. So what I did a few days ago is I decided that, you know, a lot of birds prefer the seeds and nuts and stuff like that. So I bought another bird feeder that holds little pellets of little bricks of seed and nuts and stuff like that, and I tried to replace this with that. This is a basket I replaced with the little brick of bird food, and I basically just hung it under at the same location that the suet feeder was, and the suet feeder had this little plastic dome on it, which is designed to keep the squirrels from coming down from on top and getting onto the feeder and feeding on it. But apparently what they can do is they can just go from this branch and jump, 18 inches over to this thing and grab the food. So honestly, this thing wasn't doing a whole lot of good, and I think the reason the squirrels weren't getting it at the suet feeder is they just didn't like it any more than the birds did. So when I started putting this thing out there, I put this thing out last night, and got up this morning and looked out the window, and there were 3 squirrels working on this. 2 of them were sitting on the branch, and one of them was hanging on the side of the thing, munching on this. It's like, no, that isn't what I meant for you guys. I gave you that stuff. That's for you. This is for the birds. So I got to figure out some way to hang this in such a manner that the birds can get to it, but the squirrels can't. Now, a little squirrel-proof dome on top is actually pretty effective. So whatever I do with the new bird feeder, I will probably include that with it, because it does make it very, very difficult for the squirrels, because they try and get on this and then it tips and they end up sliding off. So what I have to do is just get it to the point where it's not so close to a branch that they can jump from here to here. Now, I have a number of large trees in the yard that I can maybe take advantage of, but I don't necessarily want to use this one. First off, I want it to be higher off the ground, because I want the feeder to probably hang down at least 6 feet from the branch so that the squirrels can't jump to it. And this isn't a good option because it's right above the pool, and I don't want to be getting seeds and nuts and stuff like that into the swimming pool. That's just going to make a mess. So that's not really a good option. Plus the fact that branch there is only about 10 feet off the ground, which means I'm either going to have to do a shorter cable, which increases the possibility that the squirrels could jump to it, or face bumping my head on it all the time. I don't want to do that. We also have this tree over here, which actually might be a really good option. It's away from the pool. It has this one big branch right here that's going way out, and if I hung something there down 6 feet, that would maybe be a good option, because it'd still be way above my head and therefore no head bumping options. But that isn't a very good viewing option for looking at it, because that's really in kind of a place in the yard that you can't see from anywhere in the house. So the only way you'd ever see that is when you're outside. Sometimes when the feeder is most active is when it's kind of cold and food is scarce, so that isn't necessarily the best option either. I have seriously been looking at this branch on this tree, though. This branch is about 12 feet off the ground. It's actually the neighbor's tree. It isn't even my tree, but I think I could maybe put something around there and dangle it down 6 feet off the ground. It would be to the point where I could reach it to refill it and stuff like that, but it would be high enough so there wouldn't be any head bumping options, which is, like I said, something that's to be prevented whenever possible. Plus the fact it isn't that bad of a location. I could see it from from here. So I think that's maybe what I'm going to do. And I don't know, maybe it might even be this branch over here, this one right here. That would be a good option too. That would be more out in the middle. You know, one of those two. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some sort of a cable or something that I can wrap around that branch and dangle it down so that we can put the bird feeder on that. So let's go to Home Depot and get some cable. All right, so I'm back from Home Depot. I found this really thin 16th inch cable that was coated with plastic, which is kind of what I wanted. I didn't want it to rust away. Additionally, I wanted to have it kind of have a smooth surface so that the squirrels couldn't try and climb down this. You know, a lot of times people would use like a chain or something, but that's basically just giving the squirrels a ladder to climb down. And, you know, I'd rather them not even try than, you know, make it easy for them to do that. So I got this stuff. It should last for a while because since it's coated with plastic, it's not going to rust. And additionally, it'll make it smoother so that it'll make it difficult for the squirrels to climb down. So I also got these clamps to clamp the cables into a loop. So let's go install this. This shouldn't take too long, and then we'll find out once and for all who's smarter, me or the squirrel. Now the fun thing about these little clamps, these are cable clamps. They allow you to basically create a loop on the cable that won't slip. And so what you actually do is you slide the cable through there twice, and then you tight down on these two little parts, and that just kind of pulls this little latch on the top down until it locks into place, and then the cable won't slip. So that's actually going to be the loop that I hang the bird feeder from. Alright, so we got that thing up there. Basically I just wrapped it around this one branch, and the cable goes down here like so, and down to the bird feeder. And like I said, I put this thing on top of it just to keep the squirrels from getting on top of it. I also cut a couple of the branches off over here that were kind of extending down that could maybe be used to get to this thing. So I don't know, I think this should work. Coming down the ladder right now. And yeah, it's a foot or so above my head, so it shouldn't be a head trip hazard. And I think that should work. Let's see now how smart the squirrels are. 1 point for me. Oh, and by the way, that storm that blew through here on New Year's Eve, yeah, it dropped about 4 inches of water on us. That's a good storm. So that's all there is to that. That was actually a fairly simple project, and I think it's going to be really difficult now for the squirrels to jump from one of these branches down to this thing. So, and if they land on top of that dome, they're going to get a big surprise. They're going to go all the way to the ground. So I think that wraps up this one for now. This was actually a very inexpensive project. It cost me all of about $6 to do in a little bit of time. And now I think we got a good bird feeder out here, one that the squirrels won't be able to get to. And just to remind you that the squirrels aren't actually being left out. They have their own food. I just don't want them getting at the bird food. And since it doesn't seem that the birds are going for this stuff anyway, I may actually just end up repurposing this and turning it into another squirrel feeder here. You know, there's no reason I couldn't put a little corn or something in there that they would like. And, so if they want to go at this stuff, and if they find they like that, then that's fine. They can have that too. But, I suspect that that's probably, they don't want that. Otherwise, they would have been jumping across to get that too. So anyway, that's all that I think we have today. So thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.